It's Tuesday, June 23. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. 6 new cases of COVID-19, 4 males and 2 females have been recorded, bringing Jamaica's total number of confirmed cases to 665. 4 cases are returning residents, with 1 arriving on a flight from the United States of America and 3 from cruise ships. The other 2 cases are import-related. Meanwhile, the island recoveries remain at 516. 50 youngsters from the Housing Opportunity Production and Employment Program, HOPE, will be assisting with the electronic monitoring of Jamaicans returning to the island who have been self-quarantined at home. Marlon Samuels has the details.
Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security, Samuda, says the nucleus of this monitoring mechanism is located at the Police Commissioner's office.
We have recruited 50 youngsters who are tech-savvy through the whole program to assist with this process under the supervision of the JCF and JDF, and they will earn a stipend and be beneficiaries of training modules, especially related to customer service. The Ministry of Health and Wellness will assist these youngsters every day with the provision of PPE and ensure they are wearing it correctly and so as to limit risk. So colleagues, even in crisis, there are opportunities and we must embrace them within the new normal.
Launched in May 2017, the HOPE program provides educational and job opportunities for young people. The initiative is targeted at persons aged 18 to 24 who are not employed or enrolled in a school or program of training. Under the controlled re-entry program, repatriated Jamaicans must agree to a 14-day quarantine period upon their return, in adherence to measures implemented by the government to control the local spread of the coronavirus, COVID-19.
In the few cases where there has been difficulty, largely because of limited coverage of data through our telecom providers, we've asked the officers in the nearest station and the public health officers to provide physical checks to confirm persons are adhering to their quarantine orders. Persons who have completed their process are cleared from the system and tracking ceases. So there is a countdown in the system, colleagues, where at the end of 14 days, unless there is a request from the Ministry of Health to extend the order because of something that would have happened, you automatically come out of the system and we cease to track that person.
Minister Samuda made the statements in the last sitting of the Senate. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Marlon Samuels.
If you take a look outside, you would notice the haze that currently blankets the country, and it's been happening in recent days. This as a result of the Sahara dust cloud that is affecting sections of Jamaica and the region. The effects are expected to peak today. Mr. Evan Thompson, head of the Meteorological Service, provided an overview of this dust plume and says there is no need for alarm.
Saharan dust is an area, a layer of dust particles that are suspended in the atmosphere, drifting across the waters of the tropical Atlantic and into the Caribbean basin in this case, and this is coming from the west coast of Africa. Now this is a large expanse of dust particles suspended in the atmosphere. It comes in a large, what they call a plume, that's moving across the area. And so Jamaica is just on the fringe of that plume right now, but is expected to experience more of the activity from this Sahara air layer that is moving across the region. This dust layer from the African coastline across the tropical Atlantic is something that occurs on a regular basis every year, round about this time as we move into the summer, going into the fall or the autumn. That's when it would normally occur. And so this is not really an unusual phenomenon. However, this year we're seeing something that is a lot more intense, a much thicker layer of dust that is moving across the area, and it is expanding much farther than just the Eastern Caribbean, but it's getting through the Central Caribbean and into the west of the region. And so Jamaica is more likely to be impacted this year. It is something we see on a year-to-year basis, and it's usually occurring at this time of the year. You know, some people are somewhat concerned about what kind of impacts the dust can have on their skin and in their environment. I just want to assure you that it's not any kind of radioactive element or anything like that. It's really just dust coming from the Sahara area of West Africa, moving across and into our area. So what we're really looking at in terms of those kinds of impacts are really health in terms of respiratory illnesses. Where there are such illnesses, we could have some flare-ups of that occurring. So if persons are experiencing asthma or have the history of asthma or other respiratory illnesses, this could cause some difficulty with breathing. So if you fall in that category, you should take the necessary precautions. Of course, consult with your medical personnel as to what needs to be done in those cases. We don't expect that you're going to see any kind of real disruption in your life in terms of how you go about doing your business. Of course, it will mean when you get up, you might really have to wipe off your car, or you will have to dust off certain things, because there is that layer of dust that is going to be settling on surfaces. So that is the main thing that we will be seeing. Of course, for flights, it might be some kind of a detriment to flights, because of course dust particles getting into engines may be of concern. I will leave it to them to make that kind of determination, but it's really something that is going to look like haze in our atmosphere, thick haze, just that we can't see very far in the distance, but we can go about our daily lives as we would normally. As we go into the weekend, though, we are expecting that we will see a dissipation of much of what we would have experienced earlier in the week, and then we should start to see things coming back to normal at that time.
Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson says members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force would not be cowed down by criminals. The JCF boss led the men and women under his command in a day of mourning for the near 200 cops killed in the line of duty over the last 20 years. He says in a statement that the members of the JCF will step up when it matters. Anderson declared that police are committed to continue their work despite the pain over the fatal shooting of Constable Ricardo Hilton and Detective Corporal Dane Biggs in Horizon Park, St. Catherine 2 weeks ago. Among the marks of respect on Monday was the flying of the JCF flag at half-mast and 1 minute of silence during briefing parades and other official police gatherings. In addition, uniformed members of the JCF were encouraged to cover the second button of their uniform shirts with black, or to wear a black ribbon on their left side above the pocket. Corporate Communications Manager at the Transport Authority, Petrokeen Williams, says the disruption among taxi operators was minimal on Monday. This despite the call for strike action by President of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, Edgerton Newman. They have been agitating for a fare increase. Ms. Williams says the Transport Authority has met with several taxi associations who've indicated they won't be on strike. Managing Director of the Transport Authority, Cecil Morgan, says operators must be commended for considering the plight of the Jamaican people, even as they themselves grapple with similar challenges as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. Morgan reiterated that the Transport Authority, through the Ministry of Transport and Mining, is committed to facilitating ongoing dialogue with public transportation stakeholders regarding the development of the sector. On Monday, residents of Bowden Hill District in Upper St. Andrew had their new bridge officially opened. Prime Minister Andrew Holness was present and commissioned the bridge into service.
Say that good things come to those who wait. And I am not an advocate that people should be waiting long for benefits that they deserve. But we always respect and are appreciative of patient and understanding people. And the people of this community have been patient, and they understand that we can't just snap our fingers and a bridge appears. But I'm here to deliver this message that every piece of infrastructure in the country is important, and that we have to start to plan for the infrastructure. I'm here to tell you that this small community nestled in the cool hills here of Stony Hill with lovely, peaceful people, that your government has not forgotten about you.
Member of Parliament for St. Catherine North East, Leslie Campbell, has been appointed Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. And attorney Tova Hamilton is to be appointed to the Senate. Ms. Hamilton will fill the vacancy in the upper house created by the resignation of Colonel Charles Jr., who is now MP for the Clarendon South East constituency. Ms. Hamilton is to be sworn in at the next sitting of the Senate. We now go to Gabriel Thompson to get the business report.
In Monday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index advanced by 2,657 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 75 stocks, of which 36 advanced, 25 declined, and 14 traded firm. The Junior Market Index declined by 21 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, Burita Investments, and Berger Paints Jamaica. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica, AMG Packaging and Paper, and Everything Fresh Limited. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with 2.7 million units, followed by Honeybun Limited with over 2 million units, and Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with just over 1 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Monday, June 22, ended trading at $140.65. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $106.08. The pound sterling traded for $175.83, and the euro ended trading at $162.72. Oil prices steadied on Tuesday after a volatile session sparked by confusion over the status of the U.S.-China trade deal. Brent crude futures fell 10 cents to $42.98 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 16 cents to settle at $40.58 a barrel. And that's it for the business report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
In regional news, PAHO and WHO representative Erica Wheeler says once Trinidad and Tobago's borders remain closed, there will not be a second wave of COVID-19. She was responding to questions at the Ministry of Health's virtual media conference on Monday.
Whenever the borders are reopened, the most important factors would be if this country's healthcare system can cope with the influx of new cases and that measures are put in place to treat with persons entering the country effectively.
It is true that no country can keep its borders closed forever, but it is also true that a country needs to gauge the strength of its health system and the ability to cope with an influx of persons, some of whom may very well have COVID-19.
Dr. Wheeler said there is still an exponential growth of cases in the Americas, and it's something we must all be concerned about.
If we look at the 15th, between the 15th of June and the 21st of June, we would see, for example, in the USA, on the 15th of June, there were 25,314 cases. But at the 21st of June, these are new confirmed cases, excuse me, not cumulative, but new. But on the 21st of June, the new cases had gone up to 36,617.
Still in Trinidad and Tobago, as PAHO and WHO representative Dr. Erica Wheeler says the COVID-19 virus has not mutated. TTT News' Mahalia Joseph Wharton reports.
PAHO WHO representative to Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Erica Wheeler, assured that the different strains of the coronavirus, like the European strain, which was detected in Beijing's latest outbreak of the COVID-19 virus, do not indicate a mutation.
This is not something out of the ordinary. Viruses changed a little over time, but we do know that there are more than 40,000 full genome sequences of the COVID-19 virus, the SARS-CoV virus, that are uploaded to publicly available websites. And there are a large number of scientists, virologists, and professionals who are looking at the sequences very frequently.
Dr. Wheeler said the changes in the sequences of the virus will not interfere with the vaccine.
This will not prevent the development of a vaccine. And as you can imagine, there are many labs also competing to be the first to develop a vaccine.
She said there is no need to be overly concerned about the different strains.
In Beijing itself, they recognized that there were an increasing number of changes, So what they did was they actually upgraded their emergency response from level 3 to level 2, and this was effective from even the 16th of June.
Dr. Wheeler said the authorities in Beijing follow the necessary protocols to restrict the spread of the European strain. She added there was monitoring being done to find out more about the chain of transmission. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
One of the fallouts of the COVID-19 pandemic has been its effect on food security. The loss of livelihood and income has made it more difficult for citizens to feed themselves. In the Grand Bahamas, this challenge was answered by the formation of a food assistance program. Janella Masick of ZNS News tells us more.
Youth organization, the Bahamas Red Cross, Salvation Army, Calvary Temple and Jubilee Cathedral receiving hundreds of food vouchers as the government officially launched its feeding program here on Grand Bahama. Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, noting that it is now a national priority to feed citizens.
The Prime Minister also indicated that the National Distribution Committee would be responsible for putting in place food distribution programs throughout the Bahamas. The committee reached out to Grand Bahama, and as a result of the National Committee, we have formed a steering committee here in Grand Bahama to execute the Prime Minister's mandate.
Minister Thompson says there is a national database which will be comprised of persons who have been assisted and those in need, and Grand Bahama's website will be launched next week, www.feedgrandbahama.com. Now, in addition to private sector pledges, the minister says the government will be consistently funding the program.
We also want to thank the food stores who are participating in this first tranche. We are very pleased that on board we have Sawyer's Food Store, we have AML or Solomon's Food Store, and we have Express Food Market. The vouchers that will be given out today persons will be able to redeem those vouchers at those individual food stores.
Now also on hand for the distribution was Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell, who thanked all of the NGOs for partnering with them and encouraged others to participate. He says the National Food Task Force Committee has divided the Bahamas into 9 zones, 5 in New Providence, 1 in Grand Bahama, Eleuthera, Abaco, and the Northern and Southern Family Islands.
They've chosen to initiate partnerships with persons who were already in the business of helping, persons who were already in the business of feeding. And the reason for that is because they're satisfied that these entities, these persons already have a network in place, already have a protocol in place. So they didn't have to go and reinvent the wheel. Persons within the various communities always knew that you could go to this institution and get some assistance. You can go to this church and get some assistance. You can go to this army and get some assistance. And so they figured, why reinvent the wheel when you can just reinforce the work that is already being done by these persons?
Now on the Grand Bahama Steering Committee is President of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Ian Roll, President of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, Greg LaRota, and President of the Grand Bahama Christian Council, Pastor Robert Lockhart. Pastor Lockhart says they have identified churches on the island that will be used as distribution channels, as well as partner with other churches in the community.
We've been through Hurricane Dorian together, the aftermath of it, and now we're dealing with the pandemic together. And as we pull together as a community, we fulfill, amen, the teachings of Jesus, who encourage us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves, and to do to others what we would want them to do for us. And as we do that as a community, we're going to be stronger. We're going to continue to move forward. And I think we're going to be a better people at the end of all of this. No matter how long it lasts, we're going to be a better people because of it. And so we're just excited about it and look forward to working along with all the partners in making sure that our people have all the support that they need.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
In sports, we roll off with cricket, as the West Indies cricket squad has completed its 14-day isolation period in England. The team will now begin training in preparation for next month's Test series by playing a 3-day internal warm-up match in Manchester. While the West Indies will start its first warm-up game on Tuesday, England's 30-man training group will report to Southampton and be tested for COVID-19 on arrival, along with the management team. The first of 3 tests officially starts on July 8. Over to football. Japan has dropped its bid to host the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, leaving the joint bid from Australia and New Zealand poised to be successful. After the postponement of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, the Japanese Football Association felt it would be unlikely that one country will be awarded 2 major women's football tournaments back-to-back. The FIFA Council will select the winner at an online meeting on Thursday. And in athletics, Guyana's hosting of the South America Under-23 Track and Field Championships is set to be delayed. The Athletics Association of Guyana President Aubrey Houston indicated he is doubtful it will go ahead as planned in September. Akeem Green of Newsroom Guyana reports.
Guyana is slated to host the championships from September 26th to the 27th at the National Track and Field Facility at Leonora on the west coast of Demerara. But given the current situation regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, it is highly unlikely the event will go ahead as planned.
We're in constant contact with Consulate as it relates to the South American Under-23 Championships, simply because one, with the present political and economical climate in the world, the political climate in Guyana, is making it a lot more difficult for us to plan for that event. That's the number one issue. Even if we're going to pull it off, South America would not allow us to pull off, to have an event where our country is not completely open up to all countries of South America and them attending. So here is the next bottleneck. With Brazil showing the kind of numbers, of infected persons and persons with infection, and their death rate, it's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult for us to plan. So it's not an easy task right now.
Hudson indicated another possible timeline would be after December 1st, which would allow athletes who meet Olympic qualification times to attend the Games in 2021.
It's highly unlikely it will go ahead as planned. And the third factor, we were looking at having it more done in December. The other factor that is coming to bear, a lot of the athletes who will be coming to the South American Under-23 Championships will be looking to have performances that's going to qualify them for the Olympics. If they hold it any earlier than December 4th, those results will not qualify them for the Olympics, and that in itself is going to make us push that date back if we're going to have it at all.
The AAG had hosted Under-20 Championships in 2017, and based on reviews, the majority deemed it to be highly successful. This has enthused Hudson of pulling off another successful feat for this championship. The budget for hosting the championship is close to Guyana $15 million, of which they will receive US $30,000 from the IAAF. Athletes from all South American nations are expected to attend, which according to Hudson means 300 athletes should be in attendance. For the newsroom, Akim Green.
In the weather report, at 4 a.m., the center of Subtropical Depression 4 was located near latitude 39.3 degrees north, longitude 63.4 degrees west. The depression is moving toward northeast near 20 kilometers per hour, and this motion is expected to continue for the next couple of days with some increase in forward speed. Maximum sustained winds are near 55 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Little change in strength is forecast during the next day or so, with system likely to weaken and transition into a post-tropical cyclone on Wednesday. Subtropical Depression 4 is not a threat to Jamaica. The Meteorological Service will continue to monitor the progress of this system. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.